Hi, everyone. Well, we're going to look at sections 7.4 and 7.5, which are some story problems that deal with percentages. I'm going to give you a couple of templates that you can use depending upon the problem and what you're given and what you're missing. Depends upon maybe the template you might want to use. Well, one of the major ones deals with if you have a percent of, that's times, I guess I can use a little X for times, some percent of, and usually you're given a total. Now, sometimes when we deal with percent increase or decrease, we won't have a total. But this would be like, you have a commission of, 10% of your total sales. Okay. And then when you multiply those, you're going to get a part, the percentage that you wanted. And, you got to be really kind of leery of this because the part isn't always less than the total. Because if you have 200% of something, you're going to have more than what you started with. So just kind of keep that in mind. I can't come up with a better word than part, but we'll go through some examples. So let's say you have a tax rate. Let's look at the formula again. So if you have a tax rate, our tax rates are given as a percentage. Like here in Sheridan, we have a 7% sales tax rate. If you go to some other countries, it can be 20% of your total sales. So times your sales or the price of the item rather than the sales, we'll save sale for commission. So if you take your percentage rate times the price of the object, or your tax rate, which is a percent, times the price of your item, you get the tax. The tax amount or the tax in dollars. So the percentage and this side over here are always related to each other. So if this is the tax rate, you're going to get the tax, the amount of the tax. And we'll talk about that with some examples here in a minute. You got to make sure those two ideas match. All right. Now, another example would be commission. Some people work on a commission rate where what they make depends upon their sales. A commission rate is also is expressed as a percent. So then we would multiply that by your total sales. And then you're going to get, because this is a commission rate, you're going to get the commission amount. Okay, amount of your commission. Okay, so, again, this percentage is going to be related to this answer. So if we were to look at some examples here, I have some, I think I do, I had some, here we go. What I want to do is demonstrate the fact that these two need to be related to each other with an example with M&Ms, all right? So they have found, and this is true, that 20% of an M&M bag should be orange, or is usually orange, about 20% of the M&M bag in color. The color is orange. So if you have a bag with a total of 75 M&Ms in it, how many should not be orange? And so what I want you to do is to make sure that you read this carefully, because if you take the 20% of the total, this is 20% orange. So when you take 20% times the total, this answer is going to be how many orange you have when you multiply those together. And just one moment. Okay, so here, when you take the 20%, and I encourage you to use your calculator with all this stuff, these rest of these sections. If nothing else, it saves time. But this is 0.20 because we moved the decimal over twice before we can multiply. in your equations, we move it over twice. So then you take 0.2 times 75 and you get 15. Now, this was the percent orange. So this is the number of orange. So the percent and this go together. So this is how many orange. But that's not what they wanted. They wanted how many are not orange. Well, you can still use the 15 because you could just take 75 minus 15 and find out how many are not orange. So you're going to come up with 60. 60 are not orange. They're the other colors, the blue, the red, whatever, yellow. All right. Or instead of this, doing it this way, finding out how many orange and then subtracting them because you wanted not orange, if 20% are orange, 80% are not orange. So I changed my percentage to match what I wanted as an answer. So 80%, because they add up to 100% of the bag. So 80% times 75, since this is not orange, this answer will be not orange. So I wanted you to be aware that this percentage, 20% orange, whatever this is related to the answer. So these are the orange, and this would be the not orange. So let me see. Well, we should get 60. Obviously, we do. 60 are not orange. Okay, so it's okay if you find out how many orange and subtract them. That's just fine. Or you can realize that, 20%, I want my percentage to represent what I want my answer to be, which would be not orange. But it's still that same template that I talked to you earlier about. It's still the percent times the total is going to equal to a part of some kind. And just make sure that these two ideas are related to each other. Okay, well, I've got some examples. We still have one more template to go through, but I want to practice this template before we talk about the other template that we're going to need. So I've got some samples here. I might even try to go through some of your homework. This doesn't get too long. Okay, we have a cost of living raise. Elsie's employer plans to give a cost of living raise of 3%. So this is 3% of what they're making now. If Elsie makes $12 per hour now, how much will her raise be? Well, she's going to get 3% of this as a raise. Sometimes you're going to have to think through it. Are they giving me the total? Are they giving me the part in order to solve? But here we have the percent times the total equals the part that we want. They want to know how much is her raise going to be. It's not how much will she be making now with the raise. It's just what will that raise look like? So we have 3% raise times the total she's making right now. This answer here is going to be the raise, because this is a 3% raise. This over here will be how much of a raise you've got. Oh, that's not really too hard. I put it on my calculator. So, well, she's not really getting a lot. Oh, well, poor girl. It's only going to be 36 cents. Okay. $0.36. So, or 0 point, it's a good idea to put that place in there. So we have $36. All right, and that's what they want, 36 cents, $0.36. So this is what they wanted as an answer, unless they wanted it in cents rather than dollars. 36-cent raise per hour. All right, and again, this percent was how much of a raise? Over here, how much of a raise. Now, if you wanted how much is she now making, you would take the 12 plus the raise. She'll now be making $12.36 an hour. All righty. Okay, let's look at number 6, test results. On a test, Jaylen got 88% or 70.4 questions correct with partial credit. How many questions were on the test? Okay, when you look at this, you've got your 88%. So we've got the 88% times, we'll take the total, equals the part. You need to decide, well, obviously we know where the 88% goes. But what about the part? Where does that 70.4 go? Is that the part or is that the total number on the test? Well, here, how many questions were on the test? That has to be a total. So we're going to put it times an n, maybe, what we're looking for. So the 70.4 must have been how many correct? This is the percent correct. This right here is the number that are correct. These two are related to each other, percent correct, the number that are correct. So now we need to solve it for the total. So this just goes back to some basic algebra. So there are times when they'll be asking you how many total questions were on the test, how much total money did they make, that kind of a thing. Well, it's not really, it's only a one-step equation, and like I say, with the calculator. So you have 0.88, we have to do that first. I'm going to get rid of that multiplication and just put them next to each other. To solve this, you'll divide by 0.88 to find the total. So n represented the total amount on the test. I don't know why I was picking n, but it doesn't really matter. So then we take 70.4 divided by 0.88. I get 80. So there were 80 questions total on the test. And make sure your answer seems correct. And then that way you can say, wow, maybe you accidentally multiplied, and you're thinking, you can't have less amount on the test than you got questions right. So if you got 30 questions right, you're not going to have 20 questions on the test and get 30 questions right. So this is a great idea to go back and think, all right, does that make any sense? Is that right? And as you're reading the question, you can ask yourself, am I going to be wanting a number that's going to be bigger, or will what I'm looking for be smaller? All right, it doesn't hurt to ask yourself questions like that as you're going through these. All right, let's look at another one here. I can use the back of this to cover these up a little bit. All right, a house appreciate means it's going to increase in value 3% 1 year. If the original value was $144,000, what's the new value? There's a couple of ways you can do this. The way I'm going to choose to do these, just because of, lack of time, since we're doing 2 chapters a week, is I'm going to go ahead and just use this percent times the total is going to equal our part here. I'm going to take this 3% of appreciation, how much it went up, times the total to find in dollars how much it went up. So I'm taking the percent it went up times the dollars to find out the total, to find out how many dollars it went up. The part and the percent are related to each other. So we have 3% of times the total. The original value is what we're going to use for the total here. The original value, so we have 3% of the 144,000 is going to give us how much it went up, because the percentage is how much it went up. They're related, and again, we have to go 0.03 So we were given the original or the total. 0.03 times 144,000. $4,320 is the value it went up. But they didn't ask us for how much did it appreciate rather than depreciate, go down in value. This appreciated by this much, but that's not what they asked. They asked for the new value. So to find the new value, I'll take the old value and I will add the gain. Appreciation is a gain. Depreciation, I would have subtracted, it's a loss. So 4,320. So when we add those together, we end up with $148,320. That's the new value. I just added these together. Perfect. Let's see what the next one is. Okay, it's kind of on the same way as number 7. I'm going to go ahead and do this in a couple of steps. I'll find out how much and then I'll add it or subtract it depending upon if we want a depreciation or an appreciation. Okay, Darren tipped his waiter 16%. It's okay. If the cost of the meal was $21.50, what was the final cost of the meal plus the tip? We'll go ahead and do this in 2 steps, though there are other ways. We're going to take our percentage. So we have our percent times whatever a total or an original equals our part. So again, this percentage and this part will be the same. So this is the percent tip. This will be the amount of the tip. So the percent has to be related to the part. Or you can change the percent like we did with the orange M&Ms. Okay, so we have 16% times, all right, our meal was $21.50. What will the tip be? Okay, that's what we're going to find out, is how much is the tip. So 0.16 times $21.50. So they made a tip of 0.16 times 21.5. $3.44. That was the tip. But they didn't ask for the tip. They want the meal plus the tip. So, you know, just kind of be aware you may have another step. So we'll take the cost of the meal and we'll add in the tip. So that's going to give us 24.90. As the cost of the meal. All right. So again, you just kind of have to figure out what you're given and what you want, you know, so it just takes some practice. All right, so now number 9 and these next 2 deal with our next template. Our next template is related to what we were looking at before. Let me just write it down here. Before we had the percent times the total is going to be equal to our part here. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide both sides by the total. In other words, I want a template or an equation that helps me find the percent. I just divide both sides by the total here. We're going to have to adjust this for the next section, but just a little adjustment, it won't be hard. Okay, so now remember the percent that you're going to get is related to this part. All right, so if you wanted the percent orange, remember these are the number of orange over the total. Okay, if you wanted the percent tax, you would put the amount of the tax over the total or the sale price. So make sure the part matches your percentage, almost in units. But this is our new one, percent equals part over the total. So let's do a few examples when they say what percent. We're going to kind of default to this guy right here rather than this one. even though you could use this one and then divide, we'll just skip to this when they want to know what percent. And these two will pretty much solve almost all of these percent problems in these two sections. Okay, so let's go to this number 9, clean sheet of paper. And go ahead. We have Mariah has a monthly budget. I don't really want to see the tip problem. Move it up a little bit there. All right, Mariah has a monthly budget of $1,750. That's her total budget. She budgets $87.50 for entertainment. What percent of her budget is entertainment? So when we want to find the percent, we'll go ahead and do our percent template. You know, this total, that term can kind of change a little bit depending on the problem, but you know, it could be like the original sale price instead, but we'll deal with that in the next section. But they want to know the percent of her budget that is entertainment. So our part has to be how much entertainment. If you want percent of her budget is entertainment, we're going to put how much entertainment on top over the total, since we want the entertainment, which they give it to us. We don't have to subtract to find how much entertainment or add up a bunch of things to find the entertainment. They told us the entertainment. I just want you to be aware it's not always the smallest number in the numerator. So be aware of that, because if you gain, you know, 200% or 300%, then your numerator is going to be larger. So just kind of keep that in mind. Don't always just stick the smallest number in the numerator. So this is the entertainment. We want the percent entertainment, and the total was 1,750. So in this case, the smaller numbers in the numerator. So we take 8750. Be very happy for calculators. I would not want to do that by hand, but I end up, when I do this, I end up with, I'm going to put it on the other side, you guys, 0.05. But they didn't want a decimal. They did ask for a percentage. Okay, you'll always get a decimal out of these. So we move it to the right twice. So she spends 5% of her budget on entertainment. We took the entertainment divided by the total. If you wanted how much does she spend on food, you take the amount of food money divided by the total would be the percent on food. Okay, all right. Let's look at number 10. Okay, Roberts. Oh, I almost thought that was a gun caliber, but it's not. Okay, Roberts, 222-inch long Chevrolet Suburban barely fits in his 220-inch deep garage. What percent of the depth of the garage is unused? So we want a percentage. Okay, we have a part over the total. All right, now they want a percentage that's unused. So I want this to be unused. So this number up here has to be the unused. It's not, you know, how much is being used by the Suburban, which is 222 inches long. So here they want how much is unused, what percent is unused. So you will subtract, and that will tell you what you wanted, which is the unused. Over, they wanted the percent of the total garage, which was 240, the total garage. So I had to find the unused. They just didn't tell me that, so I could divide them. So you'll take your 240 divided by 222. Oops, sorry, 240 minus 222, 18 over 240. So I had to do a little bit of math to find that top number. That's the unused inches, which is not a lot. And this percent I'm going to get out is the percent of unused in the total garage. So 18 divided by 240 is 0.075. And which is 7, move it over twice, make it a percentage. 7.5% of the garage is unused. We just had to find out how much unused. Okay. All right. Well, that'll give you some examples. That's it for the 6 or 7.4. 7.5 is related. 7.5 is this right here. We're going to be finding percentages. It's just a little bit different. It's kind of similar to number 10. So we'll look at that. And then if we have time, this hasn't gone too long, we'll also look at some of the homework problems that might give you some issues. We'll see. Okay, so in section 7.5, we're going to be dealing with what's called percent increase. We're going to find a percent increase or a percent decrease. And there are sometimes, I'm not sure about this book, I don't think so, but they'll talk about a change, a percent change. All right, and we're going to be, because we'll be finding a percent in this section, we're going to be using that percent template. So I want, here we have percent. Okay. Okay, what I want, when I want a percent increase or a percent decrease or a percent change, that means this up here has to be the increase or how much of a decrease or how much of a change. It goes back to the M&M. I had 20% were the orange. And so when I multiplied it by the total, I got how many orange. So these two are related. So if I want the percent increase, I'll write it out. I will have how much of an increase over. Now here, rather than divide by the total, you know, when you look at these problems, you'll understand there's really no total given. What we divide by in all of these is the original, is what you started with. If you went from 10 to 30, you would divide by the 10. If you went from 100 to 200, you would divide by the 100. So this right here is our original amount. This is how much of an increase. Now, how do you find an increase? How do you find out? Well, if you increased from 7 to 10, how much is that increase? Well, we know to subtract to find the increase. And we're going to subtract to find how much of a decrease. And you can subtract to find how much of a change. So here, in order to find that numerator, we're going to be subtracting some values. So percent decrease, you would find how much of a decrease by subtracting over the original, what you started with. Or if you wanted the percent change. Okay, remember this percent and this number here, they're always related, whether it's tax rate, the percent of tax, you have the tax over here. So percent change, you'd find how much of a change over the original. So these really won't be too bad. And it's amazing how many people really don't know how to find a percent increase. I had a newspaper call me up one time and asked me, you know, they had an increase in their subscriptions and they didn't know how to find the percent increase. So, and, you know, and I'm going to show you some pitfalls here where some people can make a mistake, you know, when you're actually putting this into your calculator, just some things to be careful of. But let's go through some examples. How do you find a percent increase or a percent decrease or a percent change? Let's look at, we're going to start with this number 5 here. Maybe I'll try to put up my template. I don't know if it'll work or not. Yeah, it might. All right, so we have a mortgage payment. Because of property tax increases, the Crawford's house payment increased from $876 per month to $949 per month. What's the percent increase? So if we want the percent increase, we have to find the increase. So we're going to take, well, here, I'll just write it. So to find the percent, we have to find the increase over the original. So this really is the different part, because you're not, that looks really funny there. This is really kind of the, the different part, because we don't have that total, like the total sales or anything like that. It's the original. And when I mean the original, it's what you started with. So this was the beginning amount. You went from here to here. It's not always the smallest, because if you're increasing, the original will be the smaller. But if you're decreasing, then the original will be the larger. So just think about it. What am I starting with? Don't always think divide by the smaller number or divide by the larger number. You divide by what you're starting with. You're going from here to here. It's the from that you're going to divide by. All right, the increase. Well, to find the increase, and we're going to subtract them to find the increase. Well, how much of an increase, because we want the percent increase. So we find out how much of an increase. And then we will divide by the original amount. We started with this. Okay. All right. So, some of the things that can happen on your calculator. If you type in 949, subtract 876, and then automatically divide by 876, your calculator will take this divided by this before it does any subtraction. All right. So what I'm saying is, unless you have an N over D key or a template that looks like this on your calculator, where you can fill it in, you need to go ahead and find this and press enter. So you've got 949 minus 876, you get 73. So press enter and then make sure you're taking 73. Does my answer make sense? I mean, it's not a huge increase, it's not going to be a 900% increase. Ooh, we get to practice something here. 0.08333333 repeating. Okay, hallelujah, we get to practice something here. So we're going to move this over twice. So we have 8.3333 repeating percent. Well, this right here is 3/9. Remember, like if you have 0.4444, it's 4/9, 0.55555, it's 5/9, 0.33333 is 3/9, but 3/9 can be reduced. Or 8 1/3. 3 goes into there once, 3 goes into there 3 times. And I kind of ran into the other problem, but that's okay. So these really aren't that hard. So you just have to find the increase, divide by the original, or find the decrease and divide by the original. All right. And again, well, this was a little tricky, but it wasn't too bad. All right, with that 8.33%. All right, let's try another one. Let's try number 6. Weight loss. Good. Sandra weighs 176 pounds and would like to make a goal of 150 pounds. What would be the percent decrease? Well, to find the percent decrease, we're going to find how much of a decrease. If you want percent decrease, you find out how much of a decrease. Okay, now this numerator. What order am I putting these in? Well, if you look here, I always put the larger minus the smaller. I just know that my answer is going to be an increase, or I know that my answer is going to be a decrease. Otherwise, it avoids negatives, having negatives. So I subtract them to find out how much of a decrease. So I want the percent, and then I'm going to divide by my original amount, which is 176. That's the weight she's starting at, or the amount of money she starts with. So we do this, we take 176 minus 150, enter 26, divided by the original amount. Oh, that's going to be kind of messy to find as a decimal. So what we're going to do, this is 14. It's not like 0.33323 or 0.4444. We get 0.4. And then it does keep repeating, but it's not a single. So what we'll do is we'll move this over twice. Oh. And they should tell you where to round it off. We'll round it off to the nearest 1/10 of a percent. So we'll go to 14.8. They should tell you. Maybe we'll practice somewhere. We have to round off. Round to the nearest 1/10 is needed. Okay, so you find the percent, and then they'll want you to round off after you get the percentage here. So this will be 14.7727. And if they want you to round off to the nearest 1/10, that's where you'll do it. Then you look to the right. So write it and then round it. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and look at another one. Here's one on, okay, that's all right. We'll just do this first one. And then we'll have time to go through some of the homework problems. Okay, I really like this. There. All right, a pair of moccasin slippers is on sale for $25 from an original price of $45. What is the percent decrease? And you know, and we could say it's a markdown. It's a percent markdown is another word for percent decrease. Stores mark things up. It's a percent increase that they add to the price of the object so that they can make some money. So here a percent decrease or a markdown. But anyways, it'll be the same thing. We want a percent decrease, so we have to find out how much of a decrease. Well, it was here, this price, and now it's this price right here. It's on sale for 25. So we'll take 45 minus 25. And then we'll divide by the original, which they tell us, the original price, $45 before. So what we started with, and then they marked it down to this one. So we get $20, it's a $20 off, and divided by 45. So then we reach for our calculator and divide by 45. Oh, I only divided by 4, I have to say. Forgot to push the 5. So we get 0.4444. Repeating. Great. So we're going to move it over twice. Now they may tell you to round it. Moved it to the right twice. If they don't tell you to round it, remember the 0.444444 is 4/9. So this is 44 4/9%. That's, you know, if they want you to write it with a fraction or as a mixed number. If they wanted you to round it to the nearest 1/10 of a percent, we'd go to a 1/10, look to the right. It's less than 5. We'll leave the 4 alone. Just kind of, you know, and if you're not really sure how they want to write it, view the example. They're up, you know, go to help, view an example and go down to the end, and they'll write it like they want you to write your answer. So, you know, sometimes that helps too, if you need that. All right, I think that's probably enough on percent increase or percent decrease. It's, you know, it's really not bad. Maybe we'll look at a few of your homework problems now, you know, or you can quit and try your homework problems. Let's look at number 1. Okay, we have pre-tax gambling winnings. Oh, okay. These are the pre-tax total winnings were 429 billion worldwide in a given year. Approximately 20.5% of the winnings were in country A, and 6.4% of the winnings were in country B. So this is 20.5% of the winnings. These are the winnings. It tells you. Of means times. That kind of helps as well. About how much in billions of dollars were the gambling winnings in each country. So we take the percent. We don't want a percent increase or decrease. So we take the percent times the total, and we're going to get a part. So if we take the percent of the winnings in A, we're going to get the amount in A. If we take the percent in B, we're going to get the amount in B. They'll be related to each other. So here we have the percent. We'll do the A first, 20.5 times the total winnings, 429 billion. You don't have to add the zeros. You're going to put the word billion on there instead of the 9 zeros. And we're going to multiply those together, and that'll be the answer. 0.2, move the decimal over. And we do expect A is not going to be over 429. And we know it's not. It's got to be less because country A and B are splitting this right here. 729 times 0.205. And what do they want us to round to? Round to the nearest tenth. So I got 87.945 billion for A, for this is country A. Round to the nearest tenth, look to the right, so 87.9 billion. All right, so that one's not really too bad. So that would be the percent of A, the amount of A. So you can do the same thing with the percent of B. Times this will give you the amount of B. So those percentages and this part match. And sometimes this part is also the top in our other template. It's also our numerator. All right, well, I think you can do that one. Let me see here real quick. Most of these, I think that you guys might be good on. All right, it's just given of this amount was veterinary bills, what percent of the total was spent on veterinary? All right, I think you can probably get these. But again, if you have any issues or any problems at all, I encourage you to let me know, and I'd be happy to help you. All right, well, have a great day, and we have a couple more sections and we'll be done with this chapter. All right, bye-bye.